Hello everyone, my name is Thitaree Tanprasert, and today I will present you my paper, Debate Chatbots to Facilitate Critical Thinking on YouTube. This work was done in collaboration with Professor Fels, Professor Luanne Sinnamon, and Professor Dongwook Yoon at the University of British Columbia. In this paper, we look at the filter bubble problems on video platforms such as YouTube and explore how the advancement of large language models can help address this problem. First, let's talk about the filter bubble problem. The filter bubble in video platforms happens when a viewer is exposed to only one side of information or opinions, and these are the sides that aligns with their own and reinforce them to think that their opinion is widespread and correct. The bubble cuts them off from the reality where there are others who may disagree with them. This problem is caused primarily by the recommendation algorithm, which aims to keep the user on the platform by feeding them only the contents that they like. YouTubers are also influencers or micro-celebrities, and having the same opinion as them can give a feeling of belonging to a community. Lastly, the video format makes the content easy to consume passively and in isolation, so the audience would be less likely to question the content. This can lead to misinformation, biases, and stereotypes, which undermines the potential of these videos to create more social awareness. According to existing research, talking to people with diverse opinions on a topic can induce more critical thinking. However, finding a trustworthy discussion partner with opposing views is difficult, and the viewers may be afraid of offending the partners when discussing sensitive or controversial topics. So there is a need for a safe space for the viewers to be able to debate freely. Our solution approach to creating a safe debate space is to have the user debate with an AI chatbot. The chatbot will take an opposite stance to the video and therefore to the user. We used large language models, specifically GPT-4, to create this chatbot, as the recent advancement allows it to make logical arguments as well as assuming a persona that might be as convincing as the real YouTuber. Now, as the chatbot's goal is to challenge the influence of the YouTubers, it needs to be just as engaging, influential, and trustworthy for users to be effective. After all, if it's not as engaging or enjoyable, the user may just skip chatting with the chatbot and go on to watch the next video in the recommendation list, and they wouldn't give any weight to the chatbot's arguments either. Previous research shows that persona determines whether a human person is trustworthy or influential in an argument. So in this paper, we apply that to the chatbots and focus on the chatbot's persona design. We focus on two attributes of personas: social identities and rhetorical styles. Social identity is a self-categorization of us or in-group versus them or out-group. It impacts the perceived trustworthiness of the person behind an opinion, and it can be based on many different attributes, such as belonging to the same age range, same gender, ethnicity, religion, occupation, and so on. Rhetorical style, on the other hand, is the way that the chatbot conducts the conversation. We chose rhetorical styles because different conversation styles can lead to different ways of thinking, which would lead to different types of critical thinking. In this paper, we compare two styles: persuasive, where the chatbot tries to convince you by saying, "I'm right, here are the reasons why you should believe me," and eristic, where the chatbot attacks the user and say, "You're wrong, and let me tell you all the ways that you're wrong." So based on this, our research questions are: firstly, how do the social identity and rhetorical styles influence the viewer's critical thinking? Secondly, how do these two attributes affect the viewer's stance on the topic? And thirdly, how do they affect the viewer's perception of the chatbot and their engagement with the activity? To answer these questions, we conducted a 2x2 mixed factorial study with 36 participants. Each participant talks to two chatbots. The rhetorical style is a between subject variable, so both chatbots that one participant talks to will have the same style. But social identity is a within subject variable, so each participant talks to one chatbot that is the same as them or in group, while the other chatbot is different or out group. In this paper, we only use gender and ethnicity to determine the social identity of the chatbot with respect to the participant, as they are generally the most effective factors to create the feeling of belonging. So, if I'm a participant, an in-group chatbot would be an Asian woman, as shown on the slide, and an out-group chatbot may be a Hispanic man or a Black non-binary person. We show the chatbot's gender and ethnicity through their name, profile picture, and bio information as shown here. The participants were not told that the difference between the two conditions are the social identities of the chatbot. For each round of the experiment, the participant would watch a 5-minute video essay that aligns with their stance on a given topic. The goal is to replicate the filter bubble problem and have the video reinforce the participants' opinions before they talk to the chatbot. We collect the participants' stance 3 times, before watching the video, after watching the video, and after talking to the chatbot, to see how they change. We also ask the participants to provide some comments after watching the video, as if they would leave a comment underneath a real YouTube video, and then we ask them to revise their comments after using the chatbots. After repeating this process for each social identity, we ask the participants to self-report their critical thinking while looking through the chat history at the end. Moving on to the findings. First, let's look at the effect of persona attributes on critical thinking. We found the main effect of rhetorical style, with persuasive performing significantly better than eristic in 2 measures: total critical thinking and interpretation, which is a particular type of critical thinking that concerns the ability to understand the context of the problem, or in this case, the debate topic. As you can see, the blue boxes, which is persuasive styles, are higher than the red boxes. As for social identity, we also see the main effect in the same 2 measures, with in-group outperforming out-group. It also shows a significant effect in another type of critical thinking, which is analysis, or the ability to identify the relationship between different perspectives or arguments. We also found a significant interaction effect on self-regulation, which is a type of critical thinking where one consciously monitors their own thought process and reflects on their values and quality of their judgment after the debate. The combination of persuasive and outgroup, unlike in-group for the main effect, the combination of persuasive and outgroup performs best on this measure, which shows that it could be most effective for fostering critical thinking in the long run. And you can see that box on the right. Now on to the second research question, which is the effect of the persona attributes on the participants' stance on the topic. We found that despite prompting the participants to think more critically, the chatbot isn't effective in changing the participants' stance on the topic. And this is because the chatbot's arguments are often weak, and we classify these weak arguments into 4 categories. Firstly, repetitive arguments. This is where the chatbot reuses an argument that the participant already countered, so creating something like a chicken versus egg argument. Secondly, arguments that lack contextual awareness. For example, the chatbot doesn't seem to know that something is only acceptable in one culture and not the other. Thirdly, arguments that show the lack of direct experiences. So participants mentioned that when humans argue, they would often bring up an anecdote from real life or something in their background that lends credibility to their arguments, but the chatbot always talk about a concept in an almost hypothetical or a very generic way. Lastly, is when the chatbot fails to come up with a novel insights or evidence that the participants haven't thought about before. When the participants think critically against these weak arguments, they would not be convinced by the chatbot's arguments and sometimes even become more confident in their original stances. Now on to the third research question, which is the effect of the persona attributes on the perception of chatbots and engagement with the activity. The participants have a slightly positive perception of the chatbots and will overall engage with the activity, with the rhetorical style again having a significant impact, the persuasive style outperforming the eristic style on the 3 most important measures: likability, perceived safety, and cognitive engagement. As you can see again, the blue boxes are significantly higher than the red boxes. However, the participants still found chatbots to be quite an unnatural debate partners, and there is definitely room for improvement. You can find more details about this in the paper. Based on our findings, there are more refinements to chatbot persona that can further improve its ability to debate and induce critical thinking. Firstly, in terms of the chatbot's rhetorical style, it can adopt more complex debate strategies to improve the strength of its arguments. On social identity, we can go beyond just gender and ethnicity and consider other attributes that will be more relevant for the topic of debate. For example, if the debate topic is related to financial issues, the chatbot's relative socioeconomic status is likely to be more impactful. Finally, building on our result that shows the chatbot's positive impact on the participants' self-regulation, we could explore how the chatbots can induce more reflection and overall development of the user's cognitive process. There is one caveat about this application of chatbot that we must be careful about, and that is the existing biases in the AI models themselves. In this project, we use Midjourney, a text-to-image generator, to create the faces of different personas, as you've seen before. But this kind of model can reinforce stereotypes. For example, all photos of non-binary persona that we generated have a lot of piercings and tattoos, and so the output pictures must be used carefully and selectively. Also, GPT-4 itself has its own biases. For instance, it's been shown to lean more towards liberal than conservative ideology. And there may be other biases that haven't been explored yet, and this could prevent a chatbot from providing a beneficial debate on certain topics. To summarize, the contribution of this paper is the empirical groundwork for designing chatbot persona from mitigating filter bubbles. We found that the debate chatbot is an effective way to increase critical thinking against videos. The two persona attributes that we investigated, social identity and rhetorical style, can affect the user's critical thinking, perception of the chatbot, and engagement. Finally, the strength of the chatbot's arguments and the naturalness of its attitude during debate should be the focus of future improvement. I would like to acknowledge that this work has been supported by the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning at the University of British Columbia. Thank you very much for listening.